It's Tuesday, December 30th. I'm Laura Cornfield, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. We open on a diplomatic front where Washington and Jerusalem have both voiced harsh opposition to the Palestinian statehood bid that is to be presented to the UN Security Council by Jordan on behalf of the Palestinian Authority. IBA's Margot Dudkevich reports.
Delegates from 22 Arab countries at the United Nations have endorsed a Palestinian proposal requiring Israel to withdraw from pre-1967 lines by 2017. Acting on behalf of the Palestinians, Jordan will submit the amended resolution to the UN Security Council. Discussions are currently underway between Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Jordan's King Abdullah to decide on the best timing to file the proposal. Officials said it could be submitted as early as today or tomorrow, or delayed until early next year. Israel and the United States have expressed fierce opposition to the Palestinian move. Washington said the resolution fails to address Israel's security needs, and the move is likely to hamper successful negotiations rather than achieve a peaceful solution.
We don't think this resolution is constructive. We think it sets arbitrary deadlines for reaching a peace agreement and for Israel's withdrawal from the West Bank. And those are more likely to curtail useful negotiations than to bring them to a successful conclusion. Further, we think that the resolution fails to account for Israel's legitimate security needs, and the satisfaction of those needs, of course, is integral to a sustainable settlement.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he expects the international community to reject the Palestinian proposal, adding Israel will not agree to any move that endangers its security. Dina Kawar, Jordan's ambassador to the UN, said she hopes all 15 UN Security Council members will back the resolution, including the United States. 9 Security Council members are needed to adopt the resolution. It is unclear whether the US will use its veto.
Just to give you a briefing of what went on in our meeting, we've discussed several issues concerning the amendments. They will be that Palestine has recommended after putting the resolution in blue. They will be introduced and amended today. They concern different issues. Perhaps, Riyadh, you want to talk about them, but I will mention there's the issue of Jerusalem. There are other issues concerning the prisoners, water, settlements, and the illegitimate wall that was condemned by the International Court. And we've also recommended that both our leadership will be discussing together to find the best way and the best timing to vote in the Security Council the resolution that will be amended today.
The Palestinian proposal calls to forge a peace deal with Israel and resolve all final status issues within a year. Israel must withdraw from pre-1967 lines by the end of 2017, and a third-party presence will oversee Israel's withdrawal. It also states that East Jerusalem will be the capital of a Palestinian state and demands that all Palestinian prisoners incarcerated in Israel be released. Margot Dudkevich, IBA News.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated Israel's opposition to the Palestinian state resolution at the United Nations in a meeting with visiting Indiana Governor Mike Pence. The Hoosier stated his support for the Israeli position.
Israel and our civilization is under attack. The attacks come from Iran. The attacks come from the various Islamists. The attack is now coming on Israel from the Palestinian Authority that is seeking to impose on us a diktat that would undermine Israel's security, put its future in peril. We expect the entire international community, at least the responsible members of that community, to oppose vigorously this UN diktat, this UN Security Council resolution, because what we need always is direct negotiations and not imposed conditions. But I want to guarantee to you and to the people of Israel, if the international community does not reject the Palestinian Authority's proposal, we will. Israel will oppose conditions that endanger our future.
From my 12 years on Capitol Hill, from my 2 years leading the great state of Indiana, I can say that support for Israel in the United States has never been stronger. and the strong and broad and bipartisan support for the state of Israel, I know will be reflected in decisions that our Congress makes in the months ahead to preserve the support the United States provides to Israel, to ensure that Israel is able to enter into negotiations to achieve defensible borders and secure its own peace and security in the years ahead.
Turning now to elections and another headline-grabbing move inside the Shas party, with their leader Aryeh Deri announcing his resignation. However, the party's Council of Torah Sages have rejected his resignation. Here with all the election news is Eli Walgalanter.
Good evening. It was only 3 weeks ago last night that the Knesset voted to dissolve itself and move to new elections. If the developments we've seen over the last 22 days are any indication, it's going to be a bumpy ride until March 17th. The latest drama was the announcement last night by Shas party leader Aryeh Deri that he was quitting in order to prevent further damage to the name and reputation of Shas's late spiritual leader, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. This followed by a leaked home video of Rabbi Yosef condemning Deri for his corruption that had him jailed in 1999 and explaining he didn't want to reappoint him as head of Shas, even going as far as to refer to him as evil. The footage was leaked after Eli Yishai, head of the Shas's breakaway party Ha'am Itanu, had threatened to leak never-before-seen footage of Yosef showing the leader's true opinions over Deri. Political analysts claimed, however, that Deri's resignation was a mere tactic to rouse the support of the party's Council of Torah Sages, which it did. The council went to meet Deri at his home, but when they arrived, Deri was not there, and they were forced to give over the message to his wife Yafa. It is unclear where Deri went and why he would not have been home to hear the news. We have full appreciation of how Deri has managed the party and direct him to continue serving as chairman, the rabbis announced, rejecting his request to step down. Telephone contact was eventually established, and Deri promised to visit each rabbi separately today and explain why he decided to quit. Stay tuned. Likud party will hold its primary tomorrow to determine the party leader and its Knesset list. This follows the Tel Aviv District Court rejecting an appeal by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's opponents in Likud to postpone the party's primary. The ruling said the decision to hold both races the same day was reasonable and would not cause significant harm to the democratic process inside the party. Likud will open 600 polling stations at 115 sites across the country, enabling its members to cast ballots. 70 candidates will vie for the list, including all of the party's current 18 MKs, except for retiring Minister Limor Livnat. Yariv Levin, who took over the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee today in a previously arranged rotation agreement, said he was looking forward to the Likud primary.
Tomorrow I'm going to take part in the internal primaries in the Likud party. I'm proud to be a representative of a party that 100,000 people select our list, and not in a party that only one person decides for everyone. I think this is democracy. I think this is the right way to do things, and I hope that members of the Likud party will vote for me and will enable me to continue with the work that I did during the last term of the Knesset.
Bayit Yehudi Chairman Naftali Bennett was in Jerusalem yesterday for the annual International Rabbinical Conference. He said that foreign diplomats had been urging him to abandon his opposition to land concessions and the establishment of a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria.
They have a message. It's sort of a marathon of these diplomats. They say, listen, we get it. You've got elections coming up. You got to say the right stuff. But after the elections, if you really want to be accepted in the community, obviously you have to support a Palestinian state. And I say very clearly, we'll take care of all the Arabs in Israel. That's of course. But we will not divide Israel. We will not divide Jerusalem. And it's not about the polls. It's about something much more deeper, our heritage.
Finally, the three Arab Knesset parties have been trying for weeks to formulate a unified list that would run together in the upcoming elections and would enable them to pass the threshold. At this stage, it remains unclear whether the parties will be united. But Masoud Rakhnayem from the United Arab List told me he's confident that it will happen.
There is a positive steps and development in order to all the three Arab lists will be in one union and cooperate in a one union list. I think in a week or 2 weeks the picture will be more obvious. in this project. I think it's a very important project in order to union all the Arab parties in one list. There is all the Arab parties and list agree to go together in one list, and I hope this will succeed.
Who will be the leader of the list?
I think there is, there is a negotiation to this issue, but I think the head of this list maybe mostly will be from the Democratic list front.
And that's all the election news for now. Election day is 11 weeks from today. Laura?
Thank you, Eli. A war is being waged against those who want to spread the message of freedom and worship and coexistence by those who carry the flag of destruction and hatred. That's the message from President Reuven Rivlin to church and civic leaders who visited the president's residence at the traditional reception held at the end of the Gregorian year. Rivlin told the gathering that Israel is concerned by the ongoing religious persecution and restrictions on freedom of worship for minorities in the Middle East.
2014 was very challenging, very difficult year for all the priests in the Middle East, even here in Holy Land, even less problematic than other countries. I wish that 2015 will be a little more boring and peaceful than the previous year.
Our faith, our tradition, our prayers, and the holy books are the basis of our dialogue and friendship. We share the Psalms of King David, the words of the prophets, and a love for Jerusalem and the Holy Land, all of us. As we know, we are all created in the image of God. What matters most is our relationship for our fellow men. We will continue to live together and build bridges of peace, with God's help, of course, here in the land of our fathers, the land of Samuel, the prophet, King David and King Solomon, the land of Jesus and his followers. May we all, Christian, Muslims, Jews, children of Abraham, together with all those of different faiths, see the fulfillment of the vision of the prophet Isaiah, that nation shall not lift up sword against nation and no longer learn war.
Hamas leader in Gaza, Ismail Haniyeh, slammed the Palestinian Unity government today, saying it has failed to live up to its commitments. Speaking on the Hamas-run Al-Aqsa television, Haniyeh accused the Unity government of failing to address the needs of all the Palestinian people and begin the reconstruction of Gaza, where thousands of buildings were destroyed in Operation Protective Edge over the summer. A reconciliation agreement between Hamas and Fatah in June paved the way for the forming of the Unity government. Turning to the ill-fated Air Asia flight, Indonesian search teams have located bodies and debris floating in the sea near where the missing flight was last seen. There have been no reports of survivors. The bodies were not wearing life jackets and were swollen and intact as they were brought on board an Indonesian naval ship. 162 people were on the A320 Airbus that disappeared in poor weather early on Sunday morning during a flight from the Indonesian city of Surabaya to Singapore. By this hour, 40 bodies have been recovered, but the body of the plane has yet to be located. An Indonesian Navy spokesman said that the plane door and oxygen tanks were recovered and taken away for testing. Law enforcement and security officials have been examining the passengers' lists, but nothing significant has turned up, and the incident is being regarded as an unexpected accident. There are serious deficiencies in the training of reserve units, particularly of ground forces, raising concerns that many are not ready for wartime. This according to a report released by State Comptroller Yosef Shapira, who also stated that the supply and maintenance units supporting reservists were far from ready. To make matters worse, Shapira said the military did not properly report the true state of its forces to the political echelon, hindering civilian oversight of the Army. In addition, a new 3-year plan in order to expand the scope of training for reserve field units, begun in 2010, has not properly been implemented in the past few years, specifically at the brigade level. The committee that determines the basket of subsidized medicines decided today to allocate 1/3 of its 300 million shekel budget to combat just one disease, hepatitis C. In a dramatic decision, the committee decided to earmark 100 million shekels for that purpose, mostly at the expense of medication for Parkinson's disease. About 1/4 of the budget is for medicines related to the treatment of various kinds of cancer. There are 3 medications for the treatment of diabetes and medication for those with HIV. In total, the panel approved 73 new drugs for the use of some 350,000 people. Michal Aloni, who murdered her 6-year-old and 4-year-old daughters in 2010, has been sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. The Central District Court in Lod also ordered Aloni to pay compensation of 500,000 shekels to the girl's father and 200,000 shekels to his 2 children from a previous marriage. The court had rejected Aloni's request for a lighter punishment due to her mental state at the time of the crime and the therapy she has had throughout her life, which she claimed led her to kill her daughters. As 2014 comes to a close, Israel's population stands at 8.3 million people. The Central Bureau of Statistics said that there are more than 6.2 million Jews, or 75% of the population, and 1.7 million Arabs, as well as 360,000 classified as others. During this year, some 162,000 people were added to the population, similar to the growth rate over the past decade. 10 years ago, Israel's population was 6.8 million. Google Israel has conducted a survey to determine Israelis' dependence on Internet in 2014. According to the results, 72% of Israelis would rather give up sex for a month than give up their Internet access. 47% of women and 25% of men would give up sex for an entire year in order to stay online. According to the survey, the Internet takes up a large portion of our time, with Israelis spending an average of 4.5 hours online each day, including for work or study purposes. We spend 2.8 hours daily in conversation with other people, 2.2 hours watching television, and about an hour reading and 30 minutes exercising. Israelis spend about 50% of their free time on Internet, 70% have a family WhatsApp group, and 32%, nearly a third, who met their partners in 2014, did so via Internet. Maybe I'm going to spend some more time online. Known as a leading cell phone company, Cellcom has now entered the television market. As of today, the consumer can buy a 99 shekel month package offering video on-demand services. That's about 60% cheaper than the current market prices. The package includes a tuner for high-definition channels, movies, and television series from a variety of content providers, including sports, streaming music, and Internet-based channels. Turning to sports, and in soccer, Kiryat Shmona retook possession of first place with a 1-0 victory over Hapoel Tel Aviv last night in Netanya. David Manga scored the only goal of the match in the 42nd minute with a close-range header. With the win, the Northerners took a 2-point lead over second-place Maccabi Tel Aviv and a 4-point advantage over Hapoel Be'er Sheva. The match was played in Netanya as Hapoel continued to serve out its punishment for the brawl earlier in the season in the Tel Aviv Derby. That required them to play away from their home field. And Israel's Olympic Committee held its annual award ceremony last night at the Suzanne Dalal Center in Tel Aviv. And the winners are judoka Yarden Jerby and sprinter Donner Sanford. They were chosen as this year's outstanding athletes. For Jerby, this is the second year in a row that she has won the trophy, which includes a 40,000 shekel prize. Jerby won the silver medal at the World Championships in Russia and 3 golds and 2 silvers at the Grand Prix tournaments throughout 2014. Sanford took the bronze medal at the World Championships in Switzerland in the 400-meter run and set a new Israeli record.
How did, all this year influenced on you?
Really doing most of my training in Israel with my family and my friends here. It really gave me a boost of confidence to really train harder and to know that I can accomplish much more.
And talking about that, you told me after the bronze medal that you can run faster and you will do it in Rio. Is your statement still on? Oh,
of course. I'm sticking by my word. I believe I have much more to give, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to show everyone I can do it.
In entertainment news, the Alan Parsons Project is coming back to Israel. The progressive British rock group will hit the stage on February 10th at Nokia Arena in Tel Aviv. The Alan Parsons Project was in the country 5 years ago and will reportedly perform some of the iconic hits from the group's 4-decade-long career, including top 40 hit singles, Eye in the Sky and Old and Wise. The 11-time Grammy-nominated Alan Parsons will be making a world tour, and after his 2 sold-out shows here in the past, couldn't pass by our shores.
Autumn winds will blow right through me someday in the midst of time. When they ask me if I knew you, I'd smile and say you were a friend of mine, and the sadness would be lifted from my eyes. Oh, when I'm old and wise.
Turning to local finance, and the shekel was mixed in foreign currency trading while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were down. Here's a look at the late afternoon numbers. Turning to the weather forecast, and a slight rise in temperatures is predicted tomorrow. Here are the highs and lows for the next 24 hours at home and abroad. And that's all for this newscast. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time when Aaron Viner will be here with all the latest news from Israel and abroad. I'm Laura Cornfield, wishing you a great evening and shalom from Jerusalem.